Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Pause the video right now to check out my social media, my radio show, and thatdrummerguy.com. And most of all, enjoy the following presentation. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
My pleasure.
Well, awesome. Well, of course, we are here to talk about the brand new album from Cradle of Filth, which is coming out the 22nd of September through Nuclear Blast. I've gotten the chance to be able to check it out over the past half a week or so, and I gotta say, this is easily some of my favorite stuff that you've created this far.
Brilliant. Cool. That's good news.
So, what went into the writing process for the new album?
Everybody was very prolific in the writing department. I mean, every member of the band. Subsequently, we all converged on Brno in the Czech Republic in August last year. It's where Marthas, the drummer, and Ashok, one of the guitarists, live. And subsequently, we went there because we knew it was going to be cheaper. And they had a rehearsal room, and it's very atmospheric and inspirational place. And yeah, we were aiming to have skeletal structures in place by the time we left. And in actual fact, we'd written probably or compiled pretty much 80% of the record because everybody had done so much work prior to coming together, by writing either whole songs or parts of songs or just general ideas they thought would fit the puzzle better. And obviously then we spent autumn polishing the album and it going through, a metamorphosis and it was just when you get to the studio as well, it undergoes further mutation, obviously, because you're there with the producer. And it was hard. It was a lot of hard work, but it was fun at the same time because we kind of get into our stride as a band with this lineup. Some people have said that we're going through a bit of a renaissance, which I'm prone to agree with.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that as well. I mean, I noticed that the more that I listen to the album, I mean, there does feel like to be a renaissance or rejuvenation in the band right now. I mean, just like everything from the production style to the songwriting to your vocal abilities. I mean, everything is just shining on the right levels.
That's good. Yeah, I guess because people are, it's a very good lineup we've got. Everybody's very much into it. We're friends on a personal level, and yeah, everybody's really into what's happening. And obviously, they've got one eye cast back on the past of the band and our legacy. So I guess the guitarists, because obviously we're playing stuff from all periods of Cradle of Filth when we compile. A live set, which is getting harder with every album, obviously. So I feel like they as well as being fans when they joined the band, they also feel like they have to uphold the legacy, and also they have their firm favourites from some of the albums like Cruelty and Dusk and Midian and Damnation and Amphetamine. So yeah, they will be passing nods to those records, and I think also and I can say this because I'm a vocalist who just gets to hang around with musicians, that the rest of the musicians as band are amazing, have amazing quality. The guitarists and everybody just outstanding. And henceforth why we also covered Annihilator's Alice in Hell, which is on special edition. It's because it was right for the musician. We've been wanting to do it for ages, and it felt right now because the quality of the musicians, and that we could do it justice by doing a pretty much faithful rendition of it. And also because we bumped into see Jeff Waters on several occasions and mentioned that we were interested in doing a cover, and he was like, yeah, guys, got to do it. And subsequently, he's heard it since. I actually sent him a copy of it, and he put on his website that he thought it was the best cover anybody's done of his material. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's some definite high praise. I mean, Jeff Waters is easily one of the best guitarists that's ever hit in metal, and for him to be able to say something like that about your rendition of Alice in Hell, I mean, that's got to be coming with a great acclaim.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, when you undertake a cover, you have one eye on making it yours, But this time we didn't get one eye on satisfying the person who actually wrote the track. But we didn't overly cradleize the track. We played it very faithful because it's very close to what we do normally, and very close to the rest of the material, which is very ornate and ghostly and melodic and spooky, and it fit very well sat alongside the rest of the album. But normally when we come to covers, we always tackle stuff that's really far removed from the metal genre and then turn it into a metal song. With this, apart from, I think the drum beat changes, just picks up a little bit for the last 4 bars, just like the tip of the iceberg, and a few eerie keyboard parts, which are very minuscule. It's pretty faithful to the original.
Yeah, I can say that as well. I mean, having heard the song, I mean, I love what you're doing with it, and I do love that it is faithful enough to the song, but it still sounds like Cradle making the song its own.
Cool.
So, getting back into the writing of the new album, when you're writing for the new Cradle album, do you have lyrical content or inspiration that you want to focus on an album, or do you wait until guitar riffs and songs start to come into mind before you start thinking about that?
Well, with this album, I did exactly that, and basically because, as I said, the album came about quite quickly. I've been reading, strangely enough, over the summer, a lot of collective ghost stories from the likes of E.F. Benson, Arthur Conan Doyle, Algernon Blackwood, Robert Louis Stevenson, Rider Haggard, Oscar Wilde, etc., etc. And when the album started coming together, and I had the crux of it laid out before me, I just suddenly it fell into place, and I thought, well, this would make a great basis for the Victorian Gothic horror. It just fits it perfectly. And so that was the inspiration behind it. But mostly, sometimes on a few albums come up with an idea beforehand, but I find it steers people. It steers people too much in one direction. Not the band, obviously, that'd be awful. But it funnels things too tightly. If you say, right, this album's got to be, it's going to have an Egyptian context. Everything's got to be green, and you know what I mean. I think it's good. Once you start collating ideas and start getting songs in place, you need about 3 or 4 to actually say, all right, well, we've got a direction on this album, as opposed to just a collection of ideas. Because you could have one song and the next one could be completely different. In fact, you could have one that was suddenly doing a reggae record without realising it, which obviously would never happen because that'd be fucking awful. But mainly it's because there's 5 other musicians. It's easier for them to do their stuff and me work around them than the other way around. Of course, it's give and take as well. When you get into it, I might say, right, well, I'd like this part extended so I could get another verse out of it, or can we extend this part so we don't have any singing on it, etc., etc.
Yeah, and that's totally a great way to go about it. I mean, like mentioned, it depends album to album, but, when you do get the riffs starting to come in and song ideas coming in, and then when the inspiration hits for lyrical content, sometimes it does make for the best songs, and I definitely think that was the right approach with this album, because every song has a great distinct feel to it, and I really love the way that you're approaching the vocals when it comes to that.
Well, yeah, but I was asked about, because I've done quite a few interviews, people have said, is there a track on the album that best summarises the album? And I say, no, there isn't, because they're all an entity unto themselves. I mean, when you come to choose the first video, obviously you've got to choose a track, but I don't think it's very hard. People listen to it and go, that's great, but it's not it's not representative of the entire album. You choose it because it'll be the right length, and probably it's the catchiest song, or the storyline's great for a video, etc., etc. But if you notice, we went from Heartbreak and Seance to You Will Know the Lion by His Claw, which suddenly is a very different track. And you usually pick the second track to say, right, well, the first one was, it wasn't the most extreme song, but the second one's going to be harder, to prove you're back on the right track. Or if the first one was a hard track, the next one would probably be more melodic. So there is a logic behind it, but I think, like I said, I don't think any of the songs are a good example of the album because they're so different from one another.
Yeah, and I was definitely going to mention that as well. I mean, loving the album from start to finish. I mean, Heartbreak and Seance and You'll Know the Lion by Its Claw is two very distinct different sounds. I mean, obviously two Cradle sounds, but it really shows the diversity of the album this time around, having those two songs released before the album comes out.
And again, we're Achingly Beautiful. I think I don't know, I can't be sure, but I think the end of next week, that's coming out as a single, because obviously a week after 22nd is the release of the record. And then prior to the American tour, which starts in March, I can't give you any dates because, our management is a stickler for synergy and obviously wants to announce all at the right time, not just bit by bit.
Sure.
But there'll be a video to accompany the American tour as well, like a full-blown video in the vein of Heartbreak and Sounds. But the one that will be coming out next week will be another lyric video. In fact, I've been to and fro with the art director today about it. It's pretty cool. I mean, the song's cool, and obviously it'll be fresh to a lot of people. Not, obviously you're a journalist, so you've got a copy of it, but I think it will surprise a lot of people. It's quite an old school track. And in fact, talking about things like that and how the songs came about, how the album came about, Achingly Beautiful and the title track, The Seductiveness and Decay, were actually written during the Hammer of the Witches session, but were very much undeveloped, hence why they didn't make the record. They fit this record better, and they're vastly different from their first incarnations. But there's some stuff on this album that was written for this album that they didn't make this album, that may end up on future releases, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I was just about to ask that as well, since you brought that up about having material fitting for the right album. I mean, it's always good to be able to back catalog songs because you never know when it's going to be the perfect fit for the right album.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of artists, not just musicians, but authors and poets and that, they always got stuff work in progress, sitting there with scaffolding around it, waiting to be built properly.
And going back a little bit into what's going to be a new lyric video for the band, with a band with as much dramatics and theatrical moments as Cradle, how do you feel with lyric videos as compared to doing a full-scale video?
Well, obviously, to be honest, I'm not keen on lyric videos at all. I think what we've done with You Know the Lion by Its Claw and the new ones, kind of novel, not totally unique, but novel in the way it's addressed. But I just find them as, I know they're needed, and I just find them an inevitable kind of mistake because they just feel that they're put out there because people can't afford, or record companies can't afford to put a proper video to each and every single, unless of course you're Taylor Swift or someone. I mean, yeah, they're necessary, but a necessary evil, I say. But I prefer, obviously, full-blown, full-scale videos like Heartbreak and Sounds. But I mean, that was an expensive affair. Even though we went to Riga in Latvia to film it, it was still, by the by, very expensive. And to do that 4 times for an album, unless you're selling millions, is just, a bit silly. And also the fact you've got viewing platforms like YouTube and Spotify and stuff like that, it's just immediate, isn't it? And it gives you something to look at whilst listening to the track and reading the lyrics, of course. But yeah, they do get a bit dull.
Yeah, that can happen. I mean, when you're able to spice up the video enough, like sometimes you got some cool animation or a nice cartoon aspect, something to it to make something stand out, it can really help the lyric video. And I imagine that's going to be happening with you guys as well. I mean, I can't imagine that you're going to be putting out a dull video in any sense, even though it's a lyric video.
No, of course not, no. Actually, my other band, Devilment, did a cool animated video for a track called Full Dark No Stars, which came out last year. And that was quite cool, actually. And the record company did for a re-release of From the Cradle to Enslave a couple of years ago, did an animated video for our cover of Sleepless by Anathema, which was really unique because it was very different. It was almost like a kid's, like a kid's cartoon, but it was dark. It was like this creature that was sort of hiding under the bed in a room, but it was very dark, and I really liked it because it was a sort of juxtaposition of two very separate entities, you know, very dark band and a very undark video that just had dark connotations.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that video as well, and I really loved and appreciated what was going on in that style of video. And even though I'm sure it's going to be in a different style of what's going to be coming out for the next lyric video for Cradle, I can't wait to see what you have in store.
Yeah, it's good.
So you mentioned before that March is going to be on track for another North American run. Obviously, things are still in motion as far as openers and dates and things like that. But have you thought about, or when it comes to touring, whether it's Europe or North America, does the set list change at all for the band? Do you feel like certain songs work in different places, or do you like playing the same set for people?
Well, we've got, like I said, we've got so much to choose from now. I mean, you've got to break it down into new album, last album, fan favourites, your favourites, and stuff from across the board, you know, from every album, from every era of the band. So basically, we're probably going to be doing 1, 2, probably 3 different set lists and alternating them. So the people that come to 2 shows that are quite close to each other won't see the same songs, keeps things a bit fresh. We're sort of mixing things up a bit. I think we're even undertaking Bathory Area, which that's going to be something. That's going to extend the set list by another week.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. I mean, last year I had the opportunity to see you for the first time with Neapolis in Minnesota, and that was just an amazing bill from start to finish. So when I know you guys are coming back for such an amazing album like the Seductiveness of Decay, I just imagine that it's going to be amazing from start to finish as far as like the show presentation and the songs that you guys choose.
Well, yeah, we're working on that now. I mean, I've spent pretty much the beginning of the summer finishing the album. And that's all, you know, that's not just being in the studio, that's, you know, working with the artist and the graphic designer, and then there's been merch, and, you know, it's all the little periphery things and all the press, and now we're just turning our attention at the back end of that to the live scenario. Our first gig is in Japan in 6 weeks, I believe, so we're starting to get the set worked out and the set presentation, and the backdrop's just gone off to be, and the scrims and stuff have gone off to be printed, and yeah, just turning our attention to working all that stuff out, including who we're going to be, because obviously promoters and booking agents and the whatnot, you know, the bands are suggested, and they're not just willy-nilly, you know, they don't just send you bands and say, what do you think? These are bands that are available because they've got albums coming out or they can afford to do it. There's no point you saying, oh, I want that band from, you know, from Slovakia, because, you know, if they haven't got an album coming out and they can't afford to get to the States to tour, there's like a pointless endeavour from the off. So anyway, you get a handful of bands, and then that's difficult enough as well, because, you know, I just went through a list of bands the other day, and it's like none of them really appealed. And I did go through it, you know, with a fine-tooth comb. But you've got to look for something that's going to, you don't want all the same bands, but you also want something you think, yeah, that'll work. I mean, one of the bands, they just sound like Evanescence, what they're called, and it's like, I just can't see that working, you know. I know the American audience is quite liberal when it comes to, and I love that about the Americans. I mean, we've toured with 69 Eyes, we toured with Guar, we toured with CKY, Bleeding Through, you know, a lot of very different bands, but this was taking the biscuit a little bit. This is really like chalk and cheese.
Yeah, and that's what I really appreciated about you guys bringing Neapolis on the last run through Minnesota. I mean, with both bands just feature so much power and emotion in both the songs, it just made for a great night. And I know that's going to be happening on the upcoming touring cycle for the album, that you're going to be picking out the right bands that really fit the mold of what's going to make for a great show.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Well, I know we will, eventually.
And obviously, with so many albums now and such the great legacy of Cradle of Filth, that it is so hard to be able to choose songs. Is there any songs that personally mean something to you that you feel like you have to play live, not just from the fan reaction, but you personally?
Well, they all mean something or other. I do have my favourites. Yeah, there's quite a few songs I love playing. And then there's some songs that just get right on my nerves playing because we just played them to death. But I won't tell you which ones they are because.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, and I can imagine that as well. I mean, the one solace that does come from playing the songs that you feel are required in a set is that the fan reaction is always going to be very positive for it. I mean, even though it might be playing the song for the millionth time, that the fans there's going to be some fans out there that are hearing it for the first time or the 10th time or whatever the case is, and they're going to love it just as much as the new material.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because obviously, you're going to draw new fans, people who, get into the band who are quite young, old fans. You get a mixture of people. Like I say, you can't pander to everybody, and that goes for writing a record as well. You have to have a kind of a viewpoint about everything. You've got to realise that if 2 or 3 people on the internet say, and they bandy together and say, I really don't like, wish they'd done this. If you have to look at it in context. If you'd written for those people, not that you go out your way to do that, but if you'd written something that they wanted to hear primarily, then everybody else would have probably hated it. So you have to look everything in context, that you cannot please everybody. And with Cradle of Filth, it's always been a little bit love us or hate us, We had a lot of people love the band, but at the same time, there's a lot of people completely despise the band. And that's cool. I'd rather people be talking about us rather than being, stuck in that windswept middle ground. So yeah, the same thing applies to live and tracks to play. You cannot please everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned before, if you try to please those couple people on the internet, there's no guarantee if you do write something just for them that they're going to like what they hear too. They might feel like you're just treading the same water or just pandering to the fans that they feel. And there's always going to be detractors that are going on. And that's what I've always appreciated about Cradle of Filth is that no matter when, from the beginning of the band all the way to right now, I can tell that you guys just write the music that you want to make. And
absolutely. And it's got worse with the onset of social media because everybody feels, everybody instantly has become a critic and an easy critic. It was obviously better when there was less interaction because everything was a little bit more mysterious. Back in the day, it was all about tape trading and phone calls and writing letters or faxes. Fax was was the email of the day. So you literally had to handwrite it out, and it just added a little bit more mystery. Nowadays, everything's so immediate, and that's kind of what's destroyed the music scene. Is the fact, you've got Amazon Prime, or you've got Spotify, or you've got Deezer, and you can just download album after an album, and it just loses its magic because they just don't feel as special because you just, people's attention span are, less than 0 now.
Yeah, that's so true. And there's so many people out there who don't even want to go and listen to a full album because they feel like it's going to take up too much of their time. Whereas I want to be able to hear everything from start to finish, read the lyrics, look at the artwork, and see everything that's being represented. Because if you're putting out a product like this, I mean, I want to see every detail that's going into it, from the artwork to the notes that are being played, the chord changes, everything that's going on to there. I mean, if you're putting in all this time and effort for people to check it out, the least I can do is check out everything that you're doing.
Well, the best way to do that, isn't it, is just put it in the car. If a CD goes in my car, it will rarely see the light of day for about 3 months, possibly because I can't be asked to take it out. So by then, you actually do know everything about the album.
Yeah, very much so, and it really does help with that. I mean, with my job as well. I mean, like I like being as prepared as I possibly can. You know, checking out every song and checking out the background in the press releases that I get, and just asking from a fan perspective as well, because there's so much out there that can be talked about and really appreciated if people would just go out there and try it.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Well, Dani, thank you so very much for taking all this time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in the world of Cradle of Filth right now. And of course, talking about the brand new album, The Seductiveness of Decay, which comes out the 22nd of September through Nuclear Blast. I've been very honored to be able to check out the album, and it's easily some of my favorite material to date. And when dates and openers get announced for the tour, I hope it'll be within driving distance of Minnesota, because I'd definitely love to be able to hear these songs in a live setting and being able to see what you guys are capable of in 2018.
That's cool. If I could just point people towards social media platforms, obviously Facebook, Cradle of Filth or Dani Filth. I just say that because they're updated on a regular basis, you know, like up to 2 or 3 times a day. So that'll be the first place you'll probably get news of the dates and, you know, album stuff, blah 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 blah. So yeah, I thought I'd just